Hello there, servant leaders, and welcome to today's video on work-life integration or work-life balance. My name is Shrissa Deppen, and I am the founder of Leadership Mastery Alliance, which is a company that focuses on leadership and executive corporate coaching. So for today's video, what we're going to be talking about is some strategies and a couple of tips that I want to give you, or things to think about in these 4 different areas that I think are going to be really helpful to you based on my own research, based on what I'm seeing in my clients, and even in my own personal experience when it comes to how to set and maintain just an incredible work-life balance overall. So first of all, this is for you if you have ever found yourself in a place where you struggle with this a little bit. Maybe there's been times that you feel like you got it right and you feel really good about it, and other times where you just feel like you're off balance in this area of work-life integration. And so if you are ever concerned about letting people down, or maybe you're concerned about what the perception will be if you say no and set those boundaries, or maybe you want to position yourself as that team player, as the person who can get things done or can take on extra a little bit of extra work to position yourself for whatever that next step is, and you want to stand out in your career. That can sometimes make it challenging to keep these boundaries and set boundaries when it comes to work-life balance. So if any of that is true of you, and you've struggled in the past to do that, and to figure out even what that means for you, because everyone is so different when it comes to work-life balance, then this is absolutely for you. So the first thing I want to touch on is when it comes to a strategy around work-life integration, is to keep in mind that work-life balance is not just about where you're spending your time. It's not just about having a balance of your working hours versus personal hours outside of work, but it's also your mental focus and energy, because it's kind of counterproductive, right, to have that time outside of work where you're like, okay, I'm disconnecting from work and I'm not going to be working right now, but I'm going to be spending time with family and things like that. But your mind is still ruminating on what's going on at work, or what's not being done, or you feel guilty for spending that time away from work when there's things that are piling up at work and things like that. So you definitely want to try to avoid that as much as possible. And one way to do that is be very mindful of your thoughts, because whatever you're thinking is going to result in how you're feeling. It's going to either help you in terms of reducing your stress, or it's going to cause you even more stress, right? So especially when those thoughts are ruminating and it's not helping you, in any way, what I would do, a couple of things. One is, if there's a couple of things that, maybe thoughts that you have that you want to jot down to come to later when you are within working hours, you can do that to get it out of your mind and on paper. But the second thing I would definitely recommend doing is being intentional on focusing on thoughts that bring you joy, focusing on things that maybe gratitude, focusing on being present in the moment and what can you be grateful for around you and the people that are in your life and things like that. It's also about choosing to focus on things that excite you, that bring you hope, that, help you feel inspired and feel like, oh, I'm so excited about what's coming next. Having that clear vision, having a strong why and purpose behind the work that you're doing is so important as well, because it's going to help you in that positive frame of mind. So that's the one thing. The second thing is healthy boundaries. So setting healthy boundaries is going to be incredibly important. And this is it's not just about saying no to certain things and all of that, but it's also about aligning with your priorities really well, being clear on what's important to you based on your values, based on your job and your role and the core functions of your role, really clear on what your priorities are, so that as you're faced with different decisions that you need to make as far as what to take on, what to say no to, what to delegate, what to push off and extend a timeline, all of those different things, it becomes so much easier if you know what your priorities are, you know what your deadlines are, and then you can evaluate where you need to go with that. Another thing is aligning with your values. So if relationships are really important to you, and you struggle with saying no to people because you don't want to let them down, you want to be helpful and things like that, then one thing I would I recommend that you ask yourself this question of, how can I honor my boundary while still building on those relationships, right? What are some ways that you can do that? So I'm going to give you a practical example of this. If you are in a position where your whatever the request is that's coming in from somebody doesn't align with your priorities, you don't have the time for it, number one, helping them understand and being honest and open with them and saying, I would love to help you, but this just doesn't line up with my priorities and I don't have the time for it. However, looking for small ways that you can, do maybe a warm handoff to someone else who can help. Maybe there's a resource that might be helpful to them. Looking for ways to still, help them out and build on that relationship can be very helpful. And even if it's not, just giving them an understanding of where you are and helping them understand your perspective and why you're making that decision and why you have to say no at this time, it can really be helpful to people, and it can help them feel like, oh, okay, I get it, even though I would love your help, but I understand why you're not able to do that. That in itself can help to continue to build the relationship so that you don't have to feel guilty about that. The next thing is managing stress and burnout. So you want to avoid this, of course. You want to avoid burnout at all costs. And so that means focusing on the things So when I talk about avoiding burnout, what I mean is being really, being aware of what drains you and what are some of the activities that are energizing to you. So you want to obviously minimize or think about other ways to go about doing those activities that that really drain you, that stress you, that take away from you feeling really good and energized and excited about the work that you're doing. But you also want to make sure that you're intentionally choosing to focus on activities outside of working hours as well. That re-energize you. That could be taking a walk with your dog. It could be spending time with kids. It could be doing social activities. Social connection is so important. It can be just having a healthy lifestyle, eating well, and getting enough rest. All those things, right, are going to help you feel really good. Are going to energize you, fill your tank, so that when you do go back to work, you're going to be able to accomplish more in less time. You're going to be more effective, more efficient, make better decisions, all of those kinds of things when you focus on doing that. And then lastly, it's fostering a culture of work-life balance within your organization. So as a leader, of course, you want to walk your talk as well, right? You want to make sure people understand what you mean by work-life integration and how they can best engage with you based on your own boundaries and how you're doing this for yourself. But you also want to be mindful of the fact that your work-life balance is not going to be the same for everybody else on your team. So you want to make sure you're taking the time to understand where they're coming from, what do they need, to make sure that they are energized and replenished and they have everything they need to be able to do their work really well. And that you're also doing what you can to support them in that way, to support them to have those healthy boundaries, to make those decisions so that they feel like they can be even more productive and be just happier and just do what they need to do at work in a way that honors who they are and what they believe is the best work-life balance for them. So with that, here's a quick recap for you. We talked about strategies for work-life integration, healthy boundaries, managing stress and burnout, and then fostering a culture of work-life balance within your organization. So these are just a couple of pointers, tip of the iceberg, but I hope that's helpful. If it has been and you want to share this with others, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Even if you just took away one little nugget that was either a reminder or was something new that you've learned, then I would love to hear from you, because I always like to know what are the things that are really resonating so I can give you more content that is helpful to you. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.